Send the chicks out.
Remember to engage the rail.
You keep falling down, I keep pushing you out and wish you were gone. You keep falling down, I keep pushing you out and wish you were gone.
Oh, did you see that?
We get out there, I reckon.
If you ever talk to me,
Brings back good memories.
we could all shake our hands instead of playing that
Holy crap, I can't believe Rochelle's 50 years old. That's just weird. That is just weird. That does not make any sense to me whatsoever.
She may be 50, but she's still running around looking like a 16-year-old. You know, she's got like that amazing physique.
If I can look as good as you, Roach, when I'm 50, I'll be stoked.
The word I just turned 50 sounds crazy, but I feel great. And I'm grateful that I feel the way that I do and have the lifestyle and everything that I'm doing with my business, with my life, you know, being close to my family and friends that I've grown up with, and just living back on this beautiful island, you know, just happy.
Rochelle Ballard, the Kauaian queen, heavy water specialist, intergenerational tube freak, former world #2 turned Tibetan singing bowl master and yogic meditation seeing eye guru. At 50 years old, Rochelle is the most senior competitor in the rivals pack. But have a look at the rig on her. Are you kidding me? It's safe to say her biological age is well below what's on her birth certificate. Can the Kauaian core lord tube pig maniac turn back the clock and walk away with the rival silverware?
I had people telling me, you know, like, this isn't a place for women and girls can't surf barrels, and you know, yeah, maybe you guys can, like, you know, hit the lip, but you know, chicks can't pull in. You guys can't get barreled. So I was like, yeah, watch me.
Go, go, go! Yeah!
Rochelle's probably gonna go down in history as like one of the best female barrel riders of all time.
Yes, Rochelle's amazing. She's still one of the best tube riders I've seen.
Oh, Rochelle was definitely one of the best female tube riders. You know, for such a little frame, she'd take off on some pretty heavy sections, but just understanding the wave and her wave knowledge was something that I, loved watching and learning from.
Rochelle was definitely a charger. You know, she was the one always pushing to go and surf backdoor, and she'd be like, come surf backdoor, Sauce.
She was a charger in big barreling waves. Like, if you think of Rochelle, you think of big barrels. Pipeline, backdoor, inside sunset, cloud break. She would just grab a rail, pick her line and just charge, and she was phenomenal.
Born and bred among the moving mountains and mondo cones of Hawaii, the writing was on the wall early for Rochelle. After falling in with one of the most radical and fearless surf crews of all time, Kauai's infamous Wolfpack, Rochelle was pushed to her limits, proving in resounding fashion that chicks can pull in.
I was the first woman to actually, like, grab my rail and drop in out at pipe and to pull in, not just bottom turning and tucking into a barrel, but actually, like, setting a rail and knifing it. And to turn heads and to be accepted, given that acknowledgement by the boys, because those very boys that came in from Kauai, you know, with Brado and Bruce and Andy, just the whole crew, you know, like, we're all out there surfing backdoor and pipe. That was like the next frontier of the North Shore crew, and it was all the Kauai boys, and I just happened to be the Kauai girl. And I had to prove myself, like, you know, they're like, well, if you're not gonna do it, you know, if you're not gonna surf the waves that we're gonna surf, then, you know, we're not gonna respect you, kind of a thing, or you can't come surfing with us.
Now, Rochelle was one of those women that helped break down those barriers around girls can't surf. And if she's going to get 2 perfect 10s, it's definitely going to be in a wave that involves barrel riding. She was a great big wave surfer in waves of serious consequence across shallow reefs and heaving barrels.
Getting barreled is the holy grail in surfing, and over a decade after Rochelle's tour career wrapped up, she is still peerless. But you've got to pay to play in these kinds of conditions, and pay she did.
Stand up, please. Stand up. Come on, stand up, baby. Come back.
You just gotta shake. Just dumb shit, man. It wasn't even on a good way.
The worst wipeouts that I've had is definitely in Tahiti. I had one that was the first time that women started towing, and I didn't have a vest on because the vests were too big for me. They didn't have female vests. I didn't have a tow board because they just started making tow boards, and it was like solid 10 to 15 feet out there. I'm always the one that they send out first. It's like, you know, we'll let Rochelle try it and see how it goes. Sure enough, 15-footer comes along. I was just getting used to like how to tow on the rope and where to let go and where not to, because it was all this new experience. And so he's like whipping me and flying from way too far away. And by the time I get to the wave, I'm like my legs are exhausted, hands are exhausted, and I let go too soon. So I drop into this thing and the thing just starts like caverning and letting out this like house barrel of a wave. And my survival technique was just grabbing my rail because I felt like I didn't have enough momentum. And so I lifted up over it and I went, and I was part of the lip. And I got held under for, I think, 2 waves, and my lungs got compressed, and I think I got water in my lungs, and he couldn't even pick me up on the next wave, and I was just out of it. I almost died that day. It was really intense.
After the break, disaster strikes on the island of Kauai.
You know, the Rivals series, it's kind of interesting because, you know, you're pulling us out of our daily life and, you know, putting a little bit of that mindset of competing on again. But for me, my approach is, you know, I really just want to go out there and surf my best and have fun and just find some good waves to surf. We've had some challenging experiences in this couple months here because we've had like a good solid month of like horrific storms that have come in and like flooding and, you know, big rains and big winds, and the waves have been horrible.
I heard that there was like a huge landslide kind of blocking the road to get down in Honolulu, so that might work not in Rochelle's favor if she can't get to some of the best waves on the north shore of Kauai.
Yeah, no doubt there's some secret little spots that she can still access. Knowing Roach, she's got some good contacts. I'm sure she'll be right.
Always heard Rochelle talking about, you know, some pretty crazy reef break waves, and we all know how well Roach can barrel ride, so that's pretty scary if she gets some good conditions in barrels.
I would imagine she'd be surfing some kind of epic tubing, barreling wave on Kauai somewhere with no crowds.
She has the distinct advantage of coming from Kauai. Perfect waves, heaving barrels. It's just a matter of whether she times it right.
Swell hasn't really hit yet, but I'm sure it'll hit soon. Hopefully these clouds will like kind of taper the wind off for a while. Almost wants to. Let's just go surf some reforms.
While we wait for the storms to abate and the conditions to line up, let's take a stroll down memory lane and go deep inside Rochelle's tubular life and times.
Growing up on Kauai was amazing. Like, I remember when we were kids, in the back of my yard, there was all these like stacks of trees, and in Oahu, there's so many vines and like just jungle tropical nature. And I remember playing in like big mud puddles and riding bikes and skate and, you know, even hitchhiking down to go surf. And I'd always go with my neighbor friends to catch a ride with them to go down and surf out at PKs and, you know, run around through like break to break in the hotels, and it's just a blast. It was really fun growing up as a kid here. I didn't realize I was like white or haole until I started going to school and getting kicked out of my, you know, seat in the bus and getting called out and teased, you know, when I was in school, and then it gave me this complex. And so there was this part of me as I got older that I became cooler because I was a surfer. And that was rad because all of a sudden I didn't feel as insecure and I felt more confidence. But when I got on tour, there was this sense of proving myself that was kind of this subconscious part of me that didn't believe in myself, and it didn't matter what other people thought of me. And so that ended up becoming this subtle thing of insecurity and this sabotage that I'd had about what if I fail? What if I succeed and people don't think I'm good enough? And then I'm not really a champion. And so there was all those things that used to, mess my head up.
Yeah, it was so cool having Rochelle already on tour because that made it like a reality because she was there. So it was oh, okay, you could be from a little island and make the tour. She was proof positive of that.
Having these aspirations of being a professional surfer, being a world champion, going on the tour, all the places that we were surfing were in these beach cities with really crappy waves. And there wasn't any money involved in it, and everybody was pretty competitive and not very friendly. It was kind of a shell shock, to tell you the truth. It wasn't really what I expected and what I'd hoped for. It wasn't the dream tour. Coming from a place where you think you're gonna go travel the world and surf all these great waves and have these great experiences and have this camaraderie with the other competitors on the tour and going to do surf trips and get paid well, and that was what I envisioned. And so I think that that's where it probably came in that led to wanting to change those things. Later on down the line, once I'd established myself as a top surfer and a force to be reckoned with, I guess, and somebody that was influential, to be able to have that voice and to have value to take it to that next level.
For a surfer raised on Hawaiian tubes, the Women's World Tour in the 90s was a stitch up. Crap waves, dismal prize money, and constantly being forced to play second fiddle to the men, Rochelle and her contemporaries struggled to get the respect and recognition from the male establishment they deserved. Until this courageous gang of girls stood up and stuck it to the man.
I believe in myself. I'm gonna be confident with who I am. And yes, I'm a strong woman. And yes, I can be strong and I can be beautiful and I can be powerful, but I can be graceful and I can be feminine. And so all those combinations is what this new generation is able to really, run with. And it's really exciting to see it all happening. So, I think we did a good job.
As every surfer knows, a lifetime of tubular addiction inevitably gives way to yoga, meditation, and boundless wisdom. After the break, we find Rochelle with her head in the bowl.
So what I'm up to now is I'm I think 10 years or so on my company Surf into Yoga. And it's a servicing with private retreats and also private services with yoga. In the best experience, I take people on this guided island and wellness adventure where they fly in and I take them surfing and we do body work together. I teach them how to do some core stability, work with their body, learn how to take care of their body better with nutrition, with yoga and breath work and meditation and that whole experience. And then really Kauai does half the work for me because it's so beautiful here. And it's such a nurturing, energetic place that helps you to heal and to have a good time.
Yeah, Roach, I think I'm gonna come over and do some yoga.
I think her retreats are awesome. I mean, she's been doing yoga and massage literally as long as I've known her. So she's just got years and years and years of experience. And then she can also cater her yoga practice to cater it to surfers and our body movements and stuff. So, and she's so fun to surf with. I'm sure her retreats are a blast.
So this is Malia Moana Lima, and I've been coaching and training with her for a couple years now. And she's about to turn 15. She's an amazing surfer, has great talent. And so everything I do with her is a holistic approach. So we go surfing together, work with her on all the skill sets in the ocean and outside of the ocean, in her core stability and her alignment, and making sure that she has like a good foundation for her body to be able to surf well and to last a long time. So a lot of what I do, sometimes we'll do like some like hardcore training stuff, but this is just a little bit of reset and making sure her alignment's good, doing some simple things, and doing a little bit of yoga and restorative side. And then I'm gonna work on her body a little bit and see if there's anything that needs to be loosened up after we do the training session. Good, slowly release down. And come into that high plank. And drop the hips down, relax the toes, up dog, and all the way into downward dog. Walk your dog, do whatever your body feels like it needs to do to release the tension out of the hips. Nice deep breath. Hold the top of the breath. And then release out the right, exhale slowly. And then as you go deeper into that still, quiet, light place, really focus on pure aloha. You know, I was really fortunate that my next door neighbor was a yoga teacher and a teacher of massage. And so I was really fortunate to learn from her about my breath, about how to take care of my body with yoga and movement, and then getting body work at a young age. And that's what got me into wanting to be a wellness facilitator and wanting to pursue that type of career. Namaste. And aloha. Let's go surfing. The whole time that I was doing the tour, I always had my morning ritual of my yoga practice. And, you know, sitting and praying and meditating and doing my breath work and eating well. And so I had already been doing my surf camps and everything, and I kept asking like different people their opinion. You know, what should I do with my life now? And everybody's like, it's kind of obvious. You should run retreats. You should just do like, you know, surf retreats. And you do so much yoga, why don't you do yoga retreats too? And so I came up with the name Surf Into Yoga.
It's pretty awesome that you can go spend a day, go for a surf, you know, do yoga with someone like Rochelle Ballard, like a superstar. I definitely recommend booking that ASAP.
To be able to inspire and to make a difference and to be an influencer truly is like it's a really fulfilling thing. You know, I love doing it. It's satisfying. It's sharing the spirit of aloha.
There's more Rivals after the break. Stay tuned.
There's one. We're just waiting for a little bit of this morning sickness to go away and see if it's good potential to have a good, you know, 2-hour session and it not like fizzle out on us or the wind really ruin it. You know, there's been a little bit of a southern hemisphere swell coming in, so we'll see if it produces some fun waves. And yeah, we're surfing reef breaks, so just need a good little direction and some nice wind and the tide, and the waves get rippable.
Wow, this is a bit of a treat. Some rare footage from the Hawaiian island of Kauai. Rochelle Ballard, the only half-centurion in the field, 17 years on the World Tour, 12 top 10 finishes, an absolute icon, trailblazing female professional surfer, one of the icons of the sport.
Obviously, Rochelle also on the surfer representative board, fighting hard for women's surfing throughout that time, which she did say in the classic surf film Girls Can't Surf actually did take a toll on her world title aspirations. But here she is now. Can she make it all up in Rivals?
Picturesque scenes here on the island of Kauai. Her original location was Hanalei Bay, but landslides prevented her from accessing that wave, that world-class spot we know has produced the Irons brothers, Bruce and Andy, among several other iconic Hawaiian surfers.
You can see that the reef has quite a wobbly lump moving through it, Smithy, and that's making it tough, but Rochelle getting some nice off the tops here.
Yeah, it's an interesting setup, isn't it, Vaughan? A bit of a ledgy kind of airdrop to start off with, a big opening bowl, and then kind of a little bonus grovelly section off the end as we see Rochelle making full use of it.
A strong ride there from Rochelle, and it wasn't just as a top-line competitor where she made a name for herself. She was actually one of the big heavy water reef chargers in that same era, and big performances at waves like Backdoor, Smithy.
That's right, Fawn. Her tube technique and some of the slabs she's packed fully stand up in the modern epoch of surfing, as good as you'll see from the women's side of the sport.
I think Rochelle would definitely be on the walls of generations of surfers that followed, as we see her here just looking for the pocket, looking for that vision. But when it doesn't come, she just gets to work. And I'm really thinking that somewhere deep down, she's got Lane's head just sitting there on a little target, and she wants to get a win over her old nemesis.
The conditions are a bit funky. It's not the sheet glass, slabbing, conical Hawaiian variety of surf we're used to seeing, but she's doing her best out there, Rochelle. That was a lovely carving manoeuvre.
Loving that she's just relying on the rail here, Smithy. Getting the foundation surfing in, matching power for power.
I mean, regardless of her performance today, we all know what she can do, and the respect is there. There wouldn't be a surfer more adored by the younger generation of professional surfers that she ushered through than Rochelle Ballard, an absolute icon, heavy water specialist, one of the top dogs, trailblazing legends.
Comes in over the channel, beautiful scenes from Kauai, weather affected at the moment, but a strong performance here from Rochelle Ballard in Rivals. Despite the fact that she wasn't able to surf the waves she wanted, she still put in one of those all-time performances, true grit that she's famous for.
Overall, like, there was a couple of fun waves that I got, you know, made some good connections, missed a couple of really good ones. But, you know, you can't help that. It's like, you're not always exactly in that moment. You know, it might be paddling out, or you don't know if there's another one behind, so you just get what's right in front of you. And yeah, surfing my own breaks and always stoked to be in the water. I'm gonna keep surfing for as long as I can. And I'm sure, like, after I recover from this injury, I'll feel much better. I got into a silly little situation with one pig in the dark with it pouring rain, and I dodged it and freaking flipped my vehicle and woke up with airbags in my face, and I've never had that happen to me in my whole life. It was a crazy moment, and feel super lucky to be alive. So God has a way of, like, slowing you down sometimes and teaching you some things, and I have a lot more gratitude for every day. And yeah, gonna make the most of it. Live well, be kind, and share aloha. You.
Next week on Rivals, we head to the hometown of Peruvian world champ Sofia Milanovic for a backside hacky sack attack.